Welcome to the Lesson of the Week with yours truly, Sean Thunder Wallace. I'm a performer, composer, and professor of music at The Ohio State University. This weekly program is designed to inspire and inform the serious music student. We're all students here, so join me on the path of discovery as we learn together.
Did you deal with a lot of classical stuff on the flute to get like technique and whatever?
Yep. Same thing on clarinet too. Saxophone, flute, and clarinet. I'm classically trained. I took classical lessons. I, played played a ton of repertoire, lots of etudes, tone development stuff. Clarinet, I spent a long time making sure I was actually playing the instrument correctly. As far as like not sliding on the keys, you're not supposed to. See, on saxophone, you have the rollers.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to roll around. Clarinet, you're not supposed to roll. You're not supposed to slide or roll like ever. I mean, there's only a couple instances where you're allowed to roll because there's no other option. You have every key except for the E flat key on both sides on clarinet. So you're not supposed to ever roll.
Yeah. I got
So
you.
I spent a long time practicing a lot of stuff to make sure that I was playing the right pinkies.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal.
Right.
With clarinet. And if you were to study classically, that would be the first thing they would get you on.
Mm-hmm.
They say you're not supposed to slide, and that would be the first thing they started, rapping to you about. Like, look, check it out. It's not saxophone.
Right.
You're not supposed to do that. It would be like a long speech and stuff. And so I didn't want to hear that. So I just started, learning how to do it, and I practiced lots of scales and thirds in clarinet, which makes me play the right pinkies. Practice stuff that's not necessarily on clarinet, stuff like the Omni book.
Oh yeah.
B flat Omni book, because it's written right in that clarinet range.
Yeah.
Gets you used to reading those notes below the staff that you don't have to read on saxophone, and getting to recognize them quickly, so you're not like, wait a minute, what's this note? How many ledger lines?
Yeah.
You're not like that. And then it also, since Charlie Parker is not concerned with what's idiomatic on clarinet, he plays some stuff that's like really challenging to play on clarinet, and so that's great. It's like it's a knuckle buster. You go through and like learn the stuff that he's playing properly without sliding, playing the right fingerings and all like that. Going over the break on clarinet is always a challenge. After you get up to the throat keys, then going back down to B, for two reasons. One, you can't get away with not supporting on clarinet. You don't get away with that. On saxophone, sometimes cats will be lazy and then just be kind of like, okay, I can just kind of, finesse it out. No, you can't do that on clarinet. So you start trying to finesse it out on clarinet and it starts squeaking, chirping, and sounding terrible. The other reason that sometimes when you go over the break, it doesn't do what you want is because your fingers aren't. You're going from a throat fingering to a fingering where you have all your fingers down, and you have to have a seal, a good seal on each finger.
Right.
On saxophone, we can be lazy. We can, like our fingers are crossed like this, and it still closes the key off and stuff like that. Clarinet, it's open. Nope, you don't get to do that. Your fingers are not dead center, and you're supporting from your stomach, really pushing. It'll make your saxophone player bang. The saxophone playing better.
Yeah.
Because you'll be focusing more on sound production and pushing from your stomach, so that you can, get the kind of sound, that a clarinet player would like. I spent a long time trying to develop a sound that sounds like I'm a clarinet player, not that I'm a saxophone player that plays clarinet. Same thing on flute. Not that I'm a saxophone player that just doubles on flute. I don't even like the terminology. The terminology doubler. I don't even like that because it implies that it's not quite a good enough good. I'm not quite good enough on it to call it my primary, so I'm a doubler. I don't like that. When I'm playing flute, I'm a flautist. When I'm playing clarinet, I'm a clarinetist. When I'm playing saxophone, I'm a saxophonist. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
If I'm playing bass, I'm a bassist. I don't want people to say, well, you should hear that cat on saxophone now. Or you should hear him on this other instrument. No. Right now is when I'm making my musical expression. It's with whatever instrument that I'm playing. That's when I'm making my musical expression. So I believe it to be a cop-out to to try to lean on something else, and that's why I don't like that terminology doubler. That's why I don't like it.
So you feel comfortable playing like an entire gig on flute?
Yep.
Yeah.
Flute, clarinet, saxophone in particular, and I sub in churches and have done some neo soul gigs and all kinds of other things on bass. I played bass on my latest CD.
Yeah.
You know, piano. I had for a short stint. I had a church gig on piano, and you know, I still practice piano, especially getting my scales together. I mean, I can play all the scales and everything two hands on piano, and I'm not that great of a reader on piano, so that's something I'm still working on. And it's not because I can't read. Obviously, I can read. It's just trying to read the clefs at the same time, and some of the independence aspects of playing the instrument still give me some challenges.
Yeah.
But the three things I work on piano are I work on walking bass lines and playing a good voicing with my right hand, playing a good voicing with my left hand, and either playing a melody line or blowing, you know, with my right hand, or playing good voicings with both hands.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I'm going to use most often. And I play piano on my latest CD also. Most of the piano stuff on that CD I'm playing. I had Bobby Floyd came in and played some stuff on Not Satisfied, and I had a former student of mine, Ari Kessler, played some piano stuff on that. Most of the piano part, all like incidental stuff, and you know, parts where the piano is not being featured, but it's an important part. I'm playing all those parts.
Yeah.
So I have enough chops to be able to do that. Would I take gigs on piano? I have before. Would I do it now would be my preference? Probably not. I don't know how comfortable I feel doing that, because I don't want to say, hey, I'm really a saxophone player.
Right.
You know. However, especially with all the writing that I do, it's important to be able to really play piano, play good voicings, because that's where your writing comes from.
Yeah.
Is your understanding of those voicings and how that stuff goes together.
Yeah.
So that's why I tell everybody you need to learn how to play piano. I mean, you really do. I mean, you know, and actually in my own musical upbringing, I didn't start on piano. I started on saxophone. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, for some people, that can be a how do I say it? Almost a I don't want to say a handicap. Well, yeah, it can almost be a handicap, because a lot of people don't go back and really learn piano and voicings and harmony and all that kind of stuff, because they're basically play a single line instrument, and so it makes it harder for them to be a lot of times. I don't want to say harder. It makes it a longer process towards them becoming good writers and complete musicians, because they're only thinking about a singular aspect of the music, which is the single line.
Right.
Whereas a piano player has to know the bass lines really. He has to understand how that functions. He has to understand the harmony. And most of the time, a good piano player is going to learn the melody, obviously. And, you know, piano trio stuff, piano player's playing, you know, the melody, he's playing the harmony. You know, a lot of times he's doubling the bass line, you know. So piano player really understands like everything that's going on. Right. So a good piano player is going to be, most of the time, has most of the tools necessary to be at least a pretty decent writer.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So he's got all this stuff together. So that's why I think it's important to learn piano. And probably to learn piano first.
Yeah.
You know, and then start, you know, doing other things. And then as a kid, you can learn piano a lot earlier, because it doesn't have the same physical demands as playing saxophone does. You know, I started playing saxophone when I was 6. I probably was a little too young to start playing saxophone, just because I developed a severe overbite.
Because of it?
Because of it.
Yeah.
You know. And so I had to get braces and all that. But obviously piano wouldn't have done that.